Hey everyone, I thought I would try something new for December. I was looking over my positions and realized that I have a few that have the potential of closing in the next week, maybe 2 weeks or so, definitely within the next month, assuming things stay the way they are. And I wanted to talk about them real briefly because a couple of these have been on the books for a long while, but most of these are pretty typical of a lot of my trades, and I thought it'd be worth sharing. One, to clear my own head out, and two, to give you guys some information. So here is the list of items. I'm going to talk about these middle ones here first, ADS through DXC, because they're the easiest ones to chat about. They've been on record the lowest number of days. This ADS has been on for 40 days. It was originally an earnings play. It's been on a lot longer than I'd like, of course, but I tend to keep these things in an effort to make a profit. Autodesk I just recently put on. It's a post-earnings play, and I actually made a successful earnings trade on it and decided, because of the circumstances, that I would give another shot at it with the event right after earnings closed. Let's take a quick look here. So with Autodesk, I originally entered in this first lower yellow one and then managed to exit with a profit due to the volatility drop, and then I decided to enter in again as a post-earnings trade on the same day up here on the expectation it was going to continue going up, or at least maintain itself. And sure enough, it went up a little bit more, and now it's dropped back down. So Autodesk is actually in pretty good shape. ALB is Albemarle Corp. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. It's been on for 21 days. It was just a trade that happened to come up. It was over 50%, so I'm just letting that ride. Sometimes these take a while, so 21 days on record isn't too bad. Cracker Barrel was another earnings play, and I actually like the way this is starting to unfold. So Cracker Barrel actually took a pretty large drop right after earnings, but look how nicely it's recovering. The IV isn't quite as low as I'd like it to be, but I also don't have control over that, so there you go. But it's showing strong promise of closing probably within the next few days. DXC was an earnings play, and as you can see, it decided to go against me, but it's starting to trail off a little bit, and who knows where it's going to go. And that's kind of the whole point of the system, is I don't know where anything's going to go at any point in the position. That's all I care about, is can I manage this to profitability, and inevitably, and a good chunk of the time I can. So this is not a bad thing, despite the fact they did breach my break-even line here. All right, let's talk about AD&T next. Now, this is actually a long history, and I actually probably should do another video on this one. It's not out yet, which is one of the reasons I haven't decided to do it. But I actually entered way back here, and this was before I made some pretty significant changes to my system. And had I known then what I know today, I might have done things slightly different. The trade was not a bad entry, but look at what it did. I mean, it shot down, and then it yo-yoed way back up, and then it went down, and the volatility was just high this entire time, and oh my goodness, what was going to happen here? And it never worked out. Eventually, I inverted it at some point, and it's currently an inversion. All it has to do is just drop a little bit without the IV going up too high, and it's going to exit not with a profit, but it'll exit and I'll be out it. For having been on the record for 286 days, I'm going to say good riddance. Intap. Now, Intap was just a play. It just came up, and I was like, this doesn't seem like a bad play, and it turned out to be a bad play, but not horrible. It got worse with hitting earnings, but you can see now that it's dropping, and this is mostly due to external market forces. Who knows? Maybe there's some, maybe NetApp is having some other issues. I haven't checked too diligently on this matter. It's approaching close to a close, which is, if it closes within this gray box, then I will make a profit on it. And so I'm not unhappy with the situation. But giving enough time, and with the significant volatility drop, things are looking shiny. Goose. Canada Goose. So I entered Canada Goose 725, which is this arrow right here, and as you can see, it decided to take quite a drop right after I entered, and then it took another drop right after it hit earnings, and then it kind of recovered, but by that point I just didn't have enough credit, and there just wasn't enough push forward for me to roll for more credit at that point. The volatility just stayed too low. I did a handful of activities here, and what I ended with was just a naked position. I'm long 200 shares of this. And this is one of these places where market awareness is going to be very helpful, because I've been doing a lot of research into Goose and a lot of investigation into directionality. Now, most of my strategy is non-directional, but sometimes there are just situations where you have to make a decision. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? And before you make that decision, you need to do some research. Now, in my case, I have come to the conclusion that Goose is going to go up. I don't think it's going to go up a whole lot necessarily, but I think it's going to go up enough that I can actually turn this little bit of a mess here into a fairly significant profit of about $230. So I'm not going to complain about that. I've had it on for 130 days. Again, like with AT&T, this is much longer than I'd like, but Goose was handled under my new system, and so I've had more opportunity to massage the position and different ways of handling it that have managed to make it a lot better in the long run. And key to this, it's not just all the system. There is a bit of luck in any sort of options trading you do, no matter whose system you use. And that is because Goose did not do this whipsawing that AT&T did. There you have it. A handful of positions. I'm expecting them to close in the next 2 weeks, say. So I'm going to set a calendar event to come back and take a look and see where we are at that point. Thanks for listening.